Hello and welcome back to Far Beyond the World. We will be continuing where we left off. Eventually, we arrive at an opening with a massive bonfire at its center, surrounded by tables and benches on three sides. I'm taken back by how amazing the feast grounds look, with cloth screens protecting the sides and a large pavilion erected over the center table. There are dozens upon dozens of wolves walking about their business, some already sitting and making merry, while others stop in their tracks to look at us with disbelief in their eyes. I can see protective mothers pulling their pups closer in fear, as if I were a wild animal. There was a clear mixture of satisfaction and concern in the eyes of those we pass by. This is so surreal. I'm deep inside a den of wolves, yet the wolves seem more likely to huddle to the walls than attack me. I can hear some of the warriors growl softly as we pass them, causing Rannoch's arms to wrap around me and pull me closer to his side. Finally, we arrive near the center table, with the gathered wolves looking at us expectantly. I can see the chief in the distance, talking with one of the older males. Although he's deep in conversation, his eyes are locked on me. Ugh, not him. Rannoch draws my attention to a slender, white wolf with painted blue patterns on his arms and cheeks. Remember what we said. Tano is very perceptive. Under no circumstances can he learn that you understand our language. I simply nod. With a gentle nudge, I follow Rannoch towards the table, where we are immediately intercepted by the white male. He's eyeing me out instantly, causing slight discomfort. So, this is the infamous human? For someone supposedly with one leg in the great beyond, he seems quite fine to me. Verissa took good care of him. Indeed. He narrows his eyes. A testament to her skill, I'm sure. Are you implying something? I nearly jump up as the female comes up from behind me, placing her paws on my shoulder. She moves almost without making a sound. Not at all, but considering your inexperience, I think it's best to have the whelp checked up by one of the elders. Wouldn't you agree, Chief? I've seen him bleed. That's proof enough. The older male waves his paw at the question, and I almost sigh in relief. Any sort of examination would put an end to our charade. Now, let's get this damn thing started. I've been running the whole day on a dry muzzle. The chief looks to one of the servants to fill up his horn, and I realize that all the attendants are some form of rabbit men. There's 6 of them, and they're quite small, pretty much my size, and look rather disarming and cute. Gross. They don't wait on anyone per se, but simply ensure that the tables are stocked up on food and drink. The only exception, of course, is the chief, who gets everything delivered to his paws. Guess they are the Silovan folk I've been reading about so much. There's one rabbit in particular, a scrawny brown little thing with a rather annoyed expression eyeing me out with a similar intensity as Tano does. He doesn't hide he has some sort of grudge against me, and I bet my bottom dollar it's Tryst. Tryst? Rannoch notices my discomfort and takes it on cue to lead me towards the table, intent on taking the seat next to his father's chair. Nuh-uh. Tano sways his finger, preventing me from following the gray male. I don't think it's a good idea to have an outsider seated so close to the chief. I'm sure he'll be fine here. The white wolf presents a spot on the bench next to him. I look to Rannoch with worry. He's my charge. He sits next to me. He doesn't look nor smell like your charge. Besides, he could be dangerous. He's wounded. Come to think of it, he doesn't look that either. This little exchange draws the attention of the chief, and I have to do something. I sigh, realizing that it's best I simply follow the cues given, and I sit where I'm told to end this discussion. It's not much of a problem, as the seat is directly opposite of Rannoch, but the male is visibly unsettled by my choice in our effective separation. I'll move then. He stands up, intent on staying by my side, So much for trusting me. What are you talking about? You will sit on my right, as is your place, the chief says sternly, finally plopping down in his chair and forcing Rannoch to do the same. The funny bunny approaches the table, taking point slightly behind the chief and continuing to give me off-putting looks. Tano can handle the human. It will be my honor. But I widen my eyes at Rannoch to signal that he's making a scene when I suddenly feel Tano's paw slide across my underbelly towards the dressing. I instinctively slap it away and we both lock startled gazes, surprised I would dare to hit him. Ha! Feisty for someone so small. He's the one to talk. He's the smallest wolf I've seen so far, not counting pups. He laughs it off to my relief, while I try to feign a painful grunt. Keep your paws to yourself. Rannoch issues a muffled growl. Why so protective? Tano smirks and I struggle to contain an annoyed sigh at Rannoch's lack of discretion. Even Tryst is tracing his eyes between me and the grey wolf with a rather curious gaze. Was only trying to check. Well, don't. Luckily, Verissa joins in, looking angrily at the white wolf from the other side of the table. Your dirty paws can make the wound infected. And he says I'm the inexperienced healer. She addresses some other wolves and I can hear a spurt of laughter. Very well. Tano pats my head, ruffling my hair in a playful manner. No hard feelings, eh? Another soft growl escapes Rannoch's throat again, and I widen my eyes at him. What are you doing? What has gotten into you? Even now his father's noticed how agitated the wolf is, but thankfully that forces Rannoch to let it go. Geez, what was this pep talk about, talking that I need to keep my wits about me? He seems far more inept at this game than I am. I look around the table seeing plenty of roasted game, forest fruit, vegetable tarts, and pies. It's more of a feast than a dinner, and I must admit I look forward to eating. Everything smells so good. Allow me. To my surprise, Tano picks up a wooden plate and nods towards the dishes in front of me, waiting for me to indicate whatever I wanted. Reluctantly, I just point to what I assume is a roasted chicken and some vegetables. As Tano serves me, I look around, seeing that pretty much everyone helps themselves to anything they like, so this courteous gesture comes out of nowhere. Eventually, Tano places the plate in front of me and smiles with gratitude. I dig in, not keen on using my fingers, but it seems cutlery here is only used to carve the meats before placing them on plates. The chicken is succulent and very aromatic, but the meat is oddly sweet. No, it definitely has a gamey taste to it. Again, quite a remarkable recovery for the state you were supposedly in. The white male looks at me expectantly and I flinch, stopping myself at the very last second from responding. We can all agree it's for the best. The sooner he's healed, the sooner he'll be gone. The chief says in a dismissive manner, not even looking at me. However, Tryst, who stands behind them, keeps giving me an evil eye. Fuck, this is a little awkward. I chew slowly, diverting my gaze to Rannoch. He keeps staring at me with clear longing, as if I were the only person there. I try to kick him, but the table is too wide and I end up banging on one of the supports. Everyone looks at me as the table bounces, and I can see a satisfied smirk from the brown rabbit. I sink my face into my palms, utterly embarrassed. Fuck. So, human. I blink as the chief breaks the awkward silence. Why is he addressing me? I suppose I shouldn't be speaking their language. Are you one of the veneer? Everyone regards him with surprise as he did something very strange. Even the rabbit looks rather spooked. The chief glares at me expectantly, but I don't respond. I'm speaking to you. He insists. What am I supposed to do? I don't think he understands that language. What language? Absurd. You don't mean to tell me he has come here all the way from Freyfall? Is that where you're from, human? Again, everyone looks to the chief with shock. What's going on? Freyfall? He reiterates, but again I just blink, the confusion of the situation aiding me in keeping my mask of ignorance. Eventually the chief sighs in annoyance and waves his paw at me in dismissal. I never knew you spoke those dialects. Only a little bit. Wait, did the chief just slip from one language to another without me even realizing? How is that possible? I don't understand anything. Is he stunted? No, he seems quite lucid. So what are you suggesting? That he's not from Avalon? I feel the white wolf turn towards me, drilling his eyes into my face. This is getting quite interesting. Avalon, this continent. The chief pats the table, as if to illustrate this meaning. Are you from here? Truthfully, even if I wanted to answer that question, I have no idea what he's talking about. The emptiness in my mind is finally useful for once, giving my reactions more credence. Looks like the human is much more than he seems. Extremely young and frail for someone who's crossed the seas. The chief looks to the white wolf and then gazes at me, as if he was truly measuring me for the first time. Well, if he comes from Euron, he'd have to depart at least a year ago to even get here. You're right, chief. That's not an easy journey, even if he had plenty of coin to spare. There's more to his story, that's for sure. The boy is craftier than he looks. Rannoch narrows his eyes in clear annoyance, perking up his lips to show the tips of his fangs. Please, control yourself. I see your point. The chief nods. Curious how he landed on our doorstep without getting noticed by our sentries. Wouldn't it make more sense to keep him under lock? Stockades, perhaps? Why risk Rannoch's life? We can have the human repay our hospitality another way. I flinch at the suggestion of being locked up, but Rannoch quickly puts a stop to it through a soft growl. Your concern is touching, but I'm sure I can handle a puny human. He's being way too obvious about any of this, and I can see Tryst has picked up on it. He gives me a telling gaze, trailing his eyes from Rannoch to me every time the Grey Wolf reacts out of proportion. If he only were just that. He might be quiet, but I can see intelligence behind those eyes. He's looking at us as if he understands what we're saying. Fuck. Guess I was wrong about me pulling this off. You're being paranoid as always. Or perhaps the three of you know more than you led us to believe. Are you suggesting any of us would risk the safety of our people? I don't know. I'd like to believe you wouldn't, and yet here we are. You brought a suspicious human into our village and... I jump up as I hear Vol slam his paw on the table. I didn't even notice when he arrived. If you don't hold your tongue, you'll be lapping soup with it for the rest of your life. Is that supposed to be a threat? It's a promise. The black male growls nastily, giving the familiar murderous stare, and I'm surprised how defiant Tano remains. He must have known Vol for years. I would never edge him on like that. It's almost suicidal. Stop your bickering. The both of you. If you are so worried that this naked monkey can understand us, then at the very least don't let it hear us squabble. The chief barks out in annoyance, and for a moment, all the conversation ceases. Vol huffs heavily and moves to the edge of the table. I nervously pick at the chicken, pulling the sinew apart and nibbling on it. This has gotten uncomfortable quite fast. In the corner of my eyes, I notice Vitria approaching with a rather wide smile. He winks at me as he passes the table and sits next to the chief. You're late as usual. Could show your chief a bit more respect. The old male grumbles. And why do you reek of yeast and preserves? Did a bit of baking. Vithra looks in my direction with a wide smile. Ugh, you and that flowery pastime of yours. Who pissed in your mug? It's just those two. The chief waves his paw between Tano and Vol. Constantly at it like pups. Haha, never a dull moment with them, eh? How about we get some ale and forget the pups for a change? First good idea I've heard the whole damn day. Don't mind the monkey over there. Who, the human? I've already seen him. Seems everyone's fucking seen him but me. Who else was it on this conspiracy? No, don't be paranoid. You spent too much time around Tano. I'm sitting right here. Am I talking to you, Snowball? No? Then let the grown wolf speak. I meant I've seen him today. I caught Rannoch on his way here. He gave me a first paw look at his new pet. The boy is a charming little fella. I really wish Tryst stopped looking at me with such intensity. It's hard to avoid noticing it when he's directly in my field of vision. Yes, well, don't expect a conversation out of him. He's not much of a talker. Either plays dumb or is dumb. Not sure which is worse. He's simply scared, I bet. Just let him be. Once he feels safe, I'm sure he'll open up and we'll all be able to make sense of this whole debacle. With Victory's arrival, the initial stiffness leaves the table and the wolves begin more casual conversations, with the topics diverting to patrol duties, hunts, territorial disputes, none of which makes much sense to me. Tano keeps serving me as if I were an honored guest, bringing me all variety of different pastries and meats. Apparently the chicken I had was actually honey-roasted pheasant, and it really grew on me. This dinner is dragging on, and I realize it will most likely last until the midnight. I need to pace myself as I'm slowly getting full, while the food keeps on coming. I take a deep breath and turn around to look towards the grounds. It becomes dark fast, but the fire and the candelabras give off a warm hue, making this place feel incredibly cozy. More and more tribe wolves arrive, with tables now busting with activity. There's got to be at least 100 of them. I can see that the females with pups are seated at the far edge, away from the adult wolves. For the amount of talk how Kaelin I am, I'm glad to be sitting at the grown-up table. The large boar Vol killed is roasting on a spit above the bonfire, and the smell of it is quite something. The size of that thing also sends shivers down my spine. I had no idea boars could get this large. It's almost as big as a cow. Quite understandably, every now and then a wolf stops and regards the roast, raising their mugs in the air and shouting out, "Vulgar!" Each time without fail or hesitation, all the gathered respond with a thunderous cheer, immediately followed by a long-drawn howl. I feel touched by how celebratory they seem and give the black male a discreet gaze of admiration. I silently boot my cup in the air to let him know I too am impressed and wish to congratulate him. Vol tries to scoff me off, but his tail gives him away with a happy flicker. I must admit, I fairly enjoy Tano's diligence at keeping my plate stocked. He's quite careful that I have a good selection of dishes, only giving me a second serving of foods. He clearly sees me enjoy. I can't tell if he's trying to make up for the spat or being genuinely a hospitable person, but I quickly notice it's neither. He's only doing this to get on Rannoch's nerves, and the Grey Wolf plays right into it. Every time Tano touches me or idly embraces me, he draws an angered reaction from the other male. I just want to slap Rannoch across the ears. Why is he allowing himself to be led on like that? If anyone should be seething, it's me. Tano's polite to a flaw, and I have no other choice but to allow him to do whatever he likes with me, with a wide smile on my face. Another thing that spoils my meal is the rabbit. He's making this personal, and as much as I can understand his anger at losing his job, he's one distraction too many. At first, there are many tribes wolves who approach me to have a look or touch me, with Tano basically acting like a carnival carny. Step right up, see the naked monkey. I'm being touched and petted in the most awkward ways, and I feel like a freak show. I keep my displeasure bottled up, but Rannoch is not so as subtle. He alternates between giving me the small disapproving looks as his former attendant, or trying to get back at me by being handsy with passing females. Seriously, does he really think I enjoy this? Unwittingly, he simply pushes me right into Tano's clutches. I need to have at least one ally at the table. I envy the chief. He gets to enjoy his company. Victory entertains him with the latest tribal gossip, interchanged with glories of the past combats. Luckily, as the evening turns to night, most of the wolves lose interest in me due to my complete silence. I think the fact that I did not understand any of their tribal politics and lifestyle reinforced my facade of ignorance. Eventually, I start to feel a bit flushed, only now realizing that Tano made perfectly sure I never ran out of wine. He refilled my cup with almost religious zeal, and it's the only thing that slipped my mind throughout the entire meal. I was too focused on not slipping up and too stressed by the number of eyes on me that I simply guzzled from the cup with complete abandon. He tunnel visioned me, and now I am tipsy. Fuck. I should have known better. The only comfort I have is seeing that pretty much everyone else around me is getting drunk as well. Everyone apart from Tano, who only now I notice is sipping on water. I didn't even realize that was an option, since all I can see around are flagons of wine. He notices that I've noticed and gives me a sly wink. Motherfucker. So, human. He draws my attention, grabbing a bottle of wine. How do you find our woven hospitality? Hostility, you mean, considering every guest so far caught a bad case of being stabbed to death. Present party nearly included. My point exactly. It's a rare honor indeed for an otherkin to share a meal with the tribe. Let alone live to tell the tale. Tano smirks knowingly at me, and I swallow nervously. He's not out of the woods yet, is he? Fithra jests, but the joke doesn't quite land for me. Quite. The white wolf nods and brings the bottle closer, intent on refilling my cup. I try to shield it with my hand, but accidentally trip it over, causing what little wine was left in it to slush across the table towards Tano. You clot! The wolf yelps as some of it dribbles onto his leg. He tries to jump back to avoid the rest of the spillage, but his sudden jolt tilts the entire bench backwards and sends us flying to the ground. The village erupts in laughter at the scene, the chief spitting out some of the drink in amusement. Seeing both Volgar and Varissa splayed out in the dirt causes me to join in. What the fuck are you doing, Tano? Have you any idea how hard it is to get wine stains out of white fur? The white wolf stands up, rubbing against the now pink stain on his left thigh. Yes, I have. The female growls, standing up, and I can see she's practically drenched in wine, which she had spilled on herself during our flight. I explode laughing, unable to contain myself, huddling in the dirt. I cover my mouth, tears flowing both from laughter and severe pains as my stomach cramps really tug at the wound. Fuck, it hurts, but I cannot for the love of me stop laughing. Eventually, Varissa chuckles and laughs it off as well. Here. The black male extends his paw towards me, and although I reach for it, I cannot get up, still held through the throes of laughter. Eventually, I hear a snorted chuckle from the black wolf, and that's what finally hushes me. I look to him in surprise, almost as if I couldn't believe the guy had the ability to laugh. Pink suits you both. Looks almost as good on you as it does on the piglet. Volt throws to the white wolves, who are frantically trying to wash off the stains with water, and I'm back in the dirt rolling. This is comedy gold. I'm also gonna piss myself. Despite everyone looking at me, I cannot stop laughing for a good few moments, sitting in the dirt and clutching at my sides. So he isn't mute. He's got a good set of lungs, that's one. The older wolf snorts in amusement. Told you he'd ease up eventually. Once Volgar sets up the bench again, I finally quiet down and grab onto it. I get up, dusting off my body and cloak, locking gazes with Rannoch, who's looking at me with dreamy eyes, wide smile painted across his muzzle. I guess he's happy to see me laugh, as most of our interactions were rather depressing, but he's simply giving us away. Reluctantly, I throw him a stern gaze, and he's taking it the wrong way, narrowing his eyes in annoyance. I sigh, sitting down and looking back at the two wolves, who still try to wash out the wine. Rannoch takes this opportunity to get back at me by talking to one of the passing she-wolves. The female giggles as if this invitation were the most amusing thing she's ever heard. Real classy. I watch uncomfortably as the girl sits down into his lap and he embraces her reluctantly. Looking good tonight, Rannoch. He gives me a discreet gaze, as if to gauge my reaction. Really? You're trying to make me jealous? Right back at you, gorgeous. Ooh, you're so strong. He bounces her teasingly in his arms, and she giggles away. Good luck, pup. That's not gonna work. You can flirt all you like. I huff in annoyance, looking away towards the chief and Vithru. The two have been engrossed in conversation the entire evening. Having a friend like that must be nice. Ah, fuck it. The white male sighs in defeat and stops his frantic attempts at removing the stain. He quickly readjusts his expression and looks to me with a feigned smile. No hard feelings. You're kidding, right? Carissa stands next to us, spreading her arms in annoyance, long streaks of pink fur going all the way from her neck down to her legs. I can't help but choke on another laughing fit. It was his fault. He's not the one who flipped the fucking bench. Ugh, I need a wash and change. She sighs and leaves the table in a hurry. I almost shout out, I'm sorry, only to stop myself at the last second. I shake my head and return to face the table. Tano uses some cloth to dry up the spillage and places my cup back into position. Almost as if nothing happened, he reaches for a bottle and tries to refill it. Again, this time with more care, I shield the cup with my hand. Come on, the night is young. And since you cannot partake in any conversation, this is your only entertainment. No? I look at him with a stern gaze, to which he only responds by reaching towards Tryst and snapping his fingers. Within moments, the brown rabbit quickly approaches us with a different bottle in his paws. Even being this close to me, the bunny tries to act all tough, giving me exaggerated looks, but he's not intimidating one bit. Especially not with that dumb barcode tattoo of his. At least try our mead. It's to die for. Yes, the mead! The older wolf claps his hands merrily, clearly cheered up by this prospect. At the corner of my eyes, I can see Rannoch is still engrossed in a conversation with that female, and it almost looks as if he's taunting me with his flirtatious behavior. Is that the piss we sell to the tigers, or is it the proper one? I'm offended by the question, Chief. The white wolf responds teasingly, dismissing Tryst and leaning over the table to personally pour the old male a hornful. The chief drinks it up thirstily and releases a long, satisfied sigh. That's the good stuff. Pour that kid some, let him learn what real ambrosia tastes like. I instinctively remove my hand at the words, and I immediately see Tano's eyes center on me with a knowing smile. Fuck. I just gave myself away. My heart begins to race, and again, he looks right into my eyes, the smile widening. I can definitely sense my anxiety, which I assume only confirms his suspicion. He rinses my cup with some water, sloshing the contents towards the fire, and placing it back in front of me. He pours the mead, giving me a discreet wink. To your health, human! The chief shouts out, laughing heartily and raising his horn. The female finally jumps off of Rannoch's lap to grab her own chalice. I can hear every other wolf stand up, following the chief's suit, and I'm slightly confused as to what to do. I want to stand up as well, but Tano gently presses down on my shoulder, letting me know I should stay in my seat. So that we may be rid of you before long. Laughter erupts across the table and all the wolves howl in unison. To the human's health! I feel a blush creep upon my face. As fastidious as it might have been, it feels nice to have a toast made in my honor. Catch me! And she's back where she started, spoiling the moment. But I can't even get annoyed at it, as my attention is immediately drawn to the rabbit behind them. Tryst is practically seething with anger, locking his spiteful gaze at me. What is your deal, bunny? Right. Let us give the youth some space and stretch our old paws. The last thing my old paws need is stretching. I have your favorite leave. Ha! Should have started with that. The two males take their leave, and I lose my only palpable distraction. The situation with Rannoch begins to annoy me so much that I do all I can not to look in their direction. I guess he can make me jealous. I'm so dumb. Rannoch can do whatever he likes, while Tryst can go fuck himself. No one can force me to face the table. Instead, I observe the bonfire, where more and more wolves begin dancing with loud and joyful music playing in the background. I recognize the sound of fiddles, flutes, drums, and mandolins. The tune they play are unexpectedly upbeat and very, very energizing, with happy howls filling the air every now and then. I can't help but boop to the rhythm, smile appearing seemingly out of nowhere. They're having so much fun, and I almost wish I could join them in the dance. It reminds me of something I must have known. A real party. I can see Verissa is back, freshly changed. Although she looks mostly fine, the wine stain is still quite visible. I hope it's not permanent. As far as I know, wine is pretty much game over for everything. I watch her dance merrily with some strapping male, many wolves pairing up around them. They all swirl paw in paw, jumping and cheering each other on. Eventually, even Tano joins in, dancing with another male. This catches me by surprise. However, I notice a lot of same-sex wolves dance in pairs, and they do so with equal fervor as the opposite-sex couples. I guess that's not strange here, and it gives me an idea. I turn to Rannoch, hearing that he's now tart-free. I smile gently, nodding my head towards the fire with an expectant gaze, but he frowns. I don't dance, he utters quietly, continuing with his drink. I keep staring at him expectantly, but he simply calls the female back. As usual, she quickly rushes into his arms. Miss me already? Rannoch basically showers her with attention, and I have to look away, especially since Tryst smirks at me with satisfaction. Ugh, this is going to drive me insane. I almost jump up as the paw lands on my shoulder. I look up to the white male, who musters the most charming smile I've seen the entire night. Will you do me the honor? I blink, confused that he'd want to dance with me, but the rhythm of the music takes a firm grip on my mind. I want to dance so badly. I look back at Rannoch, who doesn't even notice us, caressing and flirting with a random stray. Fuck it. I shrug, looking up at the wolf, who takes a hold of my hand and pulls me in close. He notices my confusion as I try to gauge the steps from the others. Just don't think about it. Follow my lead. He's not wasting time, and feeling up the rhythm of the melody guides my gait into a skip as we swirl off towards the bonfire. I cannot contain laughter as everything spins around us, with different wolves passing us by the same jovial dance. Tano has a firm grip of me, pulling my body right against his form. He might be smaller than Rannoch and less muscly, but equally as defined. I'm surprised at first by the proximity, but it allows him to better guide us in all the twists and turns, and there's plenty of those. It almost feels like some mad carnival ride. I blush, feeling his chin rest upon my head. Even this small wolf dwarfs me. I surrender myself both to the music and to the wine, and we spin off into the wild dance as my screams of joy and laughter join the cacophony of howls and cheers. Tano is actually a good dancer, and I enjoy it for all it's worth. I rest my head against his breast, expecting the familiar scent of the forest. However, to my surprise, his scent is more earthy. My head gets dizzy with all the pivots and swirls, and I lose complete sense of time just laughing into his chest. We could do this for the rest of the night for all I care. Mind if I cut in? We suddenly come to a stop, and I notice Rannoch standing in front of us with a rather aggravated expression. I can hardly catch my breath through the workout, but Tano pulls me in closer. Actually, yes, We're having fun, aren't we? The white wolf looks at me with a coy smile, and I'm nodding eagerly in agreement. Rannoch had his chance. He can go back to his admirers and let me have some fun. Well, I insist. He's my charge. The grey wolf looks sternly, grabbing hold of my arm. I furrow my brow at the crude gesture. Seriously, he's making a scene now? Thought you were busy. Was only watching after him. You're treading on dangerously thin ice, Tano. By all means, then. Tano reluctantly lets go of me and walks away, a clear smirk on his muzzle. I narrow my eyes, wondering if this was all his plan all along. Rannoch pulls me into a similar embrace Tano held me in. However, he's much less gentle about it. He rushes us into the dance, moving us along another pair. Despite his bad mood, he's doing it quite graciously. I thought you said you couldn't dance. I mutter, clearly annoyed by his little spectacle. I said I don't, not that I can't. He replies, equally irritated. I just roll my eyes, allowing the male to lead our tempo. A few moments ago, I would have traded anything for this dance. But right now, I just can't wait for it to be over. I'm not okay with being a rope in their stupid tug of war. For someone so smart, you sure know how to make a fool of yourself. You're the one to talk. I want to add something about his shameless flirting, but I can see that he's in no mood for conversation. Why add fuel to the fire when it's already burning my skin? I just resign myself to his lead. Eventually the song ends, and Rannoch releases his hold on me. I look up at him with clear disappointment, while he repays me with a hurt gaze. I seriously don't get you. I sigh, returning to the table and taking my seat next to the white wolf. Rannoch follows suit, however, he stops, and instead heads towards a nearby group of wolves, engaging with them in idle chatter. I feel Tano's gaze drill into me with a provocative smile, and all I can do is face him with a dumb expression. I know that dance was a setup, but I also wanted to stick it up to Rannoch. I guess we both got what we wanted in the end. Tryst tries to taunt me again, but I smirk nastily, remembering the rabbit stew we made the other day. Scurry about your business, bunny. At least you get eaten if you're not too careful. I might fear these wolves, but you've got a long way to go to intimidate me. I just sit there slouching, resigned to Tano's company. With no one at the table, he seems almost disinterested in me. I guess everything he did was for show, or to elicit a reaction from either me or Rannoch. He still serves me some food, but my appetite is long gone. Eventually, Rannoch returns to his seat, his expression slightly softer than before. Perhaps he cooled off. From what, though? I cannot tell. I'm still confused about everything that's going on here. It's quite fascinating to see a human up close. Here we go again. Incredibly meek and fragile species, still unaccountably present. He rubs my shoulder, but I don't protest. I'm beyond caring at this point. Besides, each time I did, Rannoch felt the need to be my knight in shining armor, and it really doesn't help to keep our charade going. Or at least keep whatever is left of it. Almost feels like Mother Moon gave up on you halfway through your creation. Isn't that right? He asks with a cruel, mocking tone, knowing full well I cannot retort. His sudden shift in attitude makes it clear he knows I understand them. I must admit, I'm beginning to warm up to your gratifyingly mute friend. He faces Rannoch, whose fur bristles with anger like I've never seen before, his fangs showing in a snarl of barely contained fury. Even Tryst is freaked out, meaning he has rarely seen his former master in such a state. He's not my friend. The grey wolf spits out a growl, giving me a cold stare. It hurts to hear it more than I thought it would, especially with Tryst smiling in satisfaction. I know Rannoch doesn't mean it, but fuck. It's hard to keep things together with so many people trying to get at you at this table. No? Oh. The white wolf looks at me, clearly seeing my distress. He knows. He played us both like a fiddle. Guess it wasn't just Rannoch who allowed himself to be led on a leash. Sorry, I just assumed that since he wears your cloak, there's more to it. And you two dance so well. You make quite a pair. For once, I'd like to finish my meal without having to taste your bile, Tano. I was merely... Many times I had to put you back in line. It would be tiresome to think I'd have to do so again, pup. The two older males interrupt this spat, looking at the three of us with annoyance. Why am I being stared at? I'm not even a part of this, not actively at least. My apologies, Chief. The White Wolf bows respectively and stands up. I'll take my leave. I'm incredibly tired and had too much to drink. I barely stifle a scoff, knowing full well he only had water. And I also need to get rid of that stain. He looks back at me, trying to ruffle my hair in a playful manner, but I tilt away. Enough is enough. I look forward to seeing more of your little hostage, Rannoch. He's not my... Yeah. I can see Rannoch wants to continue his spar, but I cut him off with another angered stare. I don't want this to drag on, and thanks to my intervention, Tano finally takes his leave, and I can sigh in relief. I was hoping that with the White Wolf gone, Rannoch would invite me to sit with him. However, I seem to have annoyed him. The Grey Wolf avoids looking at me, and whenever he does, he has a petulant expression. The dinner continues for quite a while longer, with everyone just talking merrily and drinking. I'm a lightweight, but I try to keep up as much as my body allows me, with all the wine passed around. Seeing Vulgar talk with others and laugh is a refreshing view, giving me entirely new perspective on the male. He tries to keep stoic and silent most of the time, however he allows himself an occasional smirk or a chuckle. I cannot partake in any conversation, but it is nice seeing everyone so happy and so engaged. I might have no memories, but I know I've never experienced anything so communal, and to think it's their daily routine, it's almost heartwarming. Whatever my life might have been before, I know it was much, much lonelier than this. I see Tryst's regular menacing expression change to a sudden shock. In fact, pretty much everyone is looking at me with slight confusion. You okay, Piglet? I jump up, realizing that the Black Wolf scooted over to me, leaning into my ear. So that's what spooked Tryst, Vol being friendly. I look to the black male with a smile, knowing full well I cannot really respond with everyone watching. Tap once for yes, twice for no. I sigh and tap once. I'm not exactly okay, but there isn't much we can do about it. I think Vulgar noticed that I'm not being truthful as he smiles knowingly. Will you have a drink with me? I don't drink with just anyone, but you've earned it. He nods towards my patched side, and I chuckle. How could I refuse? I tap once on the table, to which the Black Wolf smiles with a satisfaction. Vulgar waves to Tryst, and he scurries quickly towards us with a rather worried expression. Again, the rabbit rushes towards us at neck-breaking speed, clearly demonstrating deference to those wolves. Usual, now. The black male utters crudely, and the rabbit nods. I must admit, watching him run behind the tables in such a panic brings a smile to my face. He hastily returns with a familiar clay bottle. Bull dismisses him without a care and opens it with a satisfying pop. He takes my cup and sloshes out the remaining mead I haven't finished towards the fire. I can see him fill it up with a clear liquid, and the boozy smell hits my nose. Fuck, it's the moonshine again. I should have tapped twice, but too late to back out now. Don't mind him. He whispers softly, nodding towards Rannoch and pouring my share. He can act like an idiot, but you'll learn to look past that. Oi, Rannoch! Care to join us? The Grey Wolf looks at me with a rather concerned expression. Isn't that a bit much for him? Don't be such a den mother. The kid ain't a flower. He can take a lot. Vol winks at me, and I almost blush at the double entendre. I'll readjust myself and give Rannoch a challenging look. He's reluctant at first, but finally smiles at me, whatever annoyed him gone thanks to Vol's intervention. Rannoch grabs his own cup, and the black male pours him some of the moonshine. Fuck it, it really smells. I can't believe anyone would drink this willingly. It's almost nauseating, as if one gets drunk just by whiffing it. We raise our cups and clink them merrily. The two males down the contents in one go. However, I'm nowhere near that drunk or brave. I try to chug at least half of my share, but my stomach says, defiantly, no. I rub my mouth clean as they both laugh at me. You said he wasn't a flower. Rannoch chuckles mockingly and I huff in annoyance. I'll show you, flower. I take the cup, holding in my breath and emptying it in one go, knocking on the wood as I do so. Fuck, this tastes like shit. I bang the cup back on the table and realize that more wolves are actually watching. I receive another round of applause, and even the chief is giggling at my defiant expression. Told ya. Vol smirks at me approvingly. The dinner continues on, with Vol bringing me over a slice of roasted boar that was teasing me over the past few hours with its smell. Killed it myself, he says proudly, placing a large slice in front of me. I nod towards him knowingly. Tenderloin, got you the best cut. He pulls out his dagger, twirling it between his fingers. As a sort of tribute. He leans towards my ear, whispering, You're the only thing I stabbed that walked away and lived. Enjoy that fact. I almost choke on my wine. A blush floods my face. If gaze could kill, Tryst would be a murderer. He's seething at the attention Vol showers me with. I'm not sure if it's my pettiness or simply drunken haze, but I embrace the black wolf. It might have been a miscalculation as the male nearly pulls away from me, but in the last second, he reluctantly returns the embrace with one paw. The chief laughs, noticing us. That kid has a clear death wish. Try to rein in yourself, Vulgar. He's under ancestral protection. Wouldn't want to banish our greatest champion over a handsy human. The old male bursts into laughter, with many others following suit. I see Vulgar give me a rather annoyed gaze as we pull apart, but eventually he scoffs and ruffles my hair. Not to worry, Chief. The piglet had simply too much to suckle on. I chortle and quickly cover my mouth, realizing I'm being too obvious about understanding the jokes. The merriment continues, and now that pretty much everyone has had enough to drink, the wolves start wandering around the tables, and the atmosphere becomes more casual. I simply observe, bathed in the orange glows of the bonfire, taking it all in. Is this how they live every day? It really seems like a wonderful place to call home. I enjoy seeing Rannoch on his element, chatted up by passerbys and laughing and being sociable. Different wolves come up to him, talking about wrestling matches, sparring and hunting. He's clearly an impressive individual, and many look up to him. And I can see females fawn over him as well. Every now and then, a different one brings him something to either drink or eat. He's a bachelor, all right, but at least now he's being less handsy, which proves that previous behavior was aimed at me. I still don't understand why, but it's nice to see the wolf I know. He notices my not-so-discreet glances and grins. Vol, wanna arm wrestle? I gaze at the grey wolf in surprise, as this comes out of nowhere. He doesn't seem drunk, but he's clearly intoxicated with all the attention he's getting, and he's fishing to get some from me. I frown, seeing Vol smirk with almost wild satisfaction. Want me to humiliate you twice in the same day? I feel this time luck is on my side. The grey wolf winks at me, and I blink, hoping no one saw this. It's hard to stop a blush from creeping onto my cheeks. Vol scoffs and simply scoots over, pushing me with his warm body out of the way, effectively taking my spot in front of Rannoch. Their arms rest on the table, easily breaching the distance between the two sides. I look attentively as their left paws lock in place, while the wolves measure each other with the anticipation. I don't know why I get nervous, but it might have something to do with all the wolves suddenly paying close attention to the event. Suddenly, their muscles tense up and I can almost see veins perk out from underneath the fur of their biceps. Soft growls escape their throats, and fangs begin to show ever so slightly as they strain against each other. I feel my heart speed up as I get wrapped up in the exhilaration caused by the mixture of their labored huffs and onlookers' cheer. Even the chief is observing the match, laughing and holding idle chatter with some of the other wolves. But as impressive as the display is, it's clear Vol has the upper paw, and slowly begins to twist Rannoch's arm towards the table. Despite everything, I cheer for Rannoch, but I can see their little spat gets a bit too competitive for my liking as soft growls evolve into vicious snarls. Although others are cheering on, it's getting slightly uncomfortable with the amount of aggression on their muzzles, and suddenly my proximity unnerves me. I try to stand up and move away from the table, my heart getting back into that familiar prey mentality, when I bump into one of the wolves passing by, who instinctively pushes me back, right into Volgar's lap. I land on the black wolf's thigh, with a slight embarrassment as he looks down at me with complete surprise. Rannoch uses this to his advantage and quickly slams Volgar's paw right into the tabletop. Ha! I knew the kid was my lucky charm. He shouts out with satisfaction, standing up with his seat and raising his paw triumphantly. Everyone stands to cheer, while they blush at the remark. Little jinx. The black wolf gazes at me, but there is no air in his eyes, just mild amusement. A discreet winks steals this, and he helps me back to my seat. With the match concluded, most of the wolves return back to their previous occupations, idly chatting away about their tribal affairs. I start to slowly doze off here, stopping myself a few times from keeling over. Finally, around midnight, the wolves begin to disperse once the chief stands up, bidding everyone a good night. It is a sign that we can head back home. Will you come with me to the villa? And stay the night again. You sure you want that sort of reputation? With the number of pups easily traceable to your loins running around, I don't fear idle gossip. You would know best when it comes to my loins, wouldn't you? The fuck did you say? For a moment it seems like Vitri crossed the line, as the chief gives him a death stare. But then both of the wolves erupt in laughter. One of these days, I swear. I chuckle at their exchange, but also sigh in relief. Tryst. Rannoch looks at the bunny and bangs his chest, followed by a patting of his arm. The bunny nods and rushes off. This was exhausting, and as much as I enjoy seeing everybody having fun, I don't think I would be able to manage this on a regular basis. Not with me having to keep quiet. Might as well be a fucking tree here. I feel so sorry I could not fully participate. There were so many fascinating wolves around. But then again, even if I could speak, what would I have to offer? I had no idea what they were actually talking about half the time, and my point of reference is completely alien. Eventually, Rannoch comes over to me, extending his paw in an inviting gesture. I grab onto it reluctantly, and he leads us back to his home. I snuggle into his biceps, fueled by the alcohol haze, but he doesn't seem to mind. As we approach the cottage, I notice smoke coming up from the chimney and an orange glow flooding out the windows. How are the lights on? I asked Tryst to get the fire going. I thought you let him go. I did. Doesn't mean I can't ask him to run some errands. Careful, the step. I know. I nod, hopping over the uneven stone. As we enter the house, I greet the warmth of the already burning hearth with a wide smile. It got quite chilly. Rannoch quickly removes his gear, and I follow suit, unpinning the cloak and returning it to the hanger. We don't talk, both of us clearly bothered by how the day played out. The silence is palpable, and it's just a waiting game until one of us breaks it. It would seem it wouldn't be him, and I lack the courage. Rannoch simply approaches the cupboard and sloshes his face with water. Once he's done, he walks slowly towards the bedroom. I take my turn at the water bowl, cleaning my face and hands. I'm really quite confused about what the hell actually happened out there. I gaze reluctantly at the other room and slowly move towards it. He's just sitting there at the foot of the bed, idly toying with something in his paw. I just sit down next to him, keeping appropriate distance and allowing silence to claim us. The white glow of the moon seeps into the room through the window, and we both keep staring at the shadows. Finally, he exhales and looks at me with saddened expression. Well, tonight wasn't a complete disaster. Yeah, could have gone better though. He simply nods. It seems I have angered you somehow. At times I thought you were trying to get back at me. The wolf takes a deep sigh. I may have acted a little bit childish. It was nice of Vol to intervene. So that's what that was. Vol doesn't act nice by default. We kind of forced his paw. I just don't understand. What on earth were you thinking? We told you to stay away from Tano. Why would you willingly sit next to him? He sounds almost accusatory, and I stumble to find the right words. It was a spur of the moment. Everyone was looking at me. Now that I think about it, it doesn't make sense. I could have ignored him, but I felt such pressure from all the wild stares that I simply obeyed. And then you let him crawl all over you. Hold on, no. That's not fair. I interrupt him, feeling as if I'm taking a stand on trial. You think I enjoyed that? What was I even supposed to do? Make a scene because a guy is being polite towards me? I tried to help you out, but each time I did, you were shutting me down. You were causing a scene. I was? The wolf stands up, looking at me with clear hurt in his eyes and subduing a soft growl. What about you prancing around with a mortal wound in your side? Was that not a scene? I'm taken back by his harsh questioning, but he is right. I slap my forehead in annoyance at my own stupidity. I got so drunk and winded up, I completely forgot about the wound, not aided by the fact that I can barely feel it half the time. That's what the dance was about? Why didn't you say so? I was angry and hurt. His voice slightly wavers and he looks away. Hurt? Why would you be hurt? You pushed me aside, and then... He presents to me his paw, his clawed fingers opening up to reveal my lucky dandelion resting in his palm. I feel my stomach churn, remembering how I ceremoniously placed it in my pin, just to simply lose it. What? How? During the damn dance. You didn't even notice. The tone of his voice causes my heart to sink. He really took my earlier sentiment to heart, while I treated it so lightly. Again, he proves how much he values what I say, or feel. Seems even more so than I do myself. Rannoch, I mutter apologetically, picking up the flower from his paw. It's fine. Marissa was right. I did throw you to the wolves. I should have been more understanding. You were doing your best. Even Vol was smart enough to notice you needed support. Vol of all wolves. He scoffs at himself. We were under a lot of stress. When my father started paying close attention, I didn't even know what to do. I panicked and did the first thing that was expected of me, being an eligible heir. Anything to make him lose interest in us, so I played along. Even though I think his flirty behavior had more to it, I can see now that he was putting up a front. At least, that's what I told myself. I might have used the situation to also try and get under your skin. That she-wolf. He nods apologetically, so he was trying to make me jealous. But why? It's all because of that meddling bastard. He always tries to fuck with me. Well, he fucked with both of us. I try to comfort him. In truth, we both allowed ourselves to be played like chumps. Yeah, I know. Still, I hope that for once, I would have had an actual ally at that table. He says calmly, but it's not the tone, but the choice of words that cuts deep. He felt alone, abandoned just as I did. This whole night, each of us desperately sought a life buoy, drowning without even realizing that we were just inches away from the safety of a friendly shore. I'm sorry for leaving your side. It's all right. He tries to compose himself, slowly rebuilding his walls. It's obvious Rannoch doesn't like to show cracks in his facade. Good. I decide to play along to let him know that I support him no matter what he chooses. Because you got back at me. He gives me an inquisitive side-eye, and I decide to lighten the mood. By the end of the night, you were literally drowning in bitches. I snort at my own joke, but Rannoch does not seem amused. It was supposed to be our night, but as always, he had to fuck it up. But if he thinks I'll stand idly by as he messes with my happiness once again, he cuts off, subduing a wild snarl. I know he was talking about us, but why did he say happiness? The next time he touches you will be the last time he has paws. I wince slightly, seeing as his fur bristles and fangs poke out in a vicious snarl. He drills his intense gaze into me. It feels very territorial, almost possessive. Rannoch. I try to calm him down, touching his clenched paw. The male regards me with a sorrowful gaze, and I feel so incredibly sorry for him. We were meant to be there for each other, and yet we allowed a little troll to set us against one another. His rattled breath begins to slow down as I stroke his paw. I didn't realize he feels so strongly about me. So far, I thought it was all his fate mindset, that he just protected his path, but it seems that there's a bit more to it than that. The alcohol haze is muddling my judgment, and I lean over towards him. Without thinking, I want to plant a kiss onto his cheek, but manage to stop myself halfway through. He notices that and blinks, turning towards me with a shocked expression. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I swallow heavily and pull away, seeing his wild stare drilling into me. Fuck, I'm drunk. What the hell am I even thinking? I scoot further away towards the headboard, afraid of his reaction. He said he's not gay, and I've seen plenty of evidence at that feast. I have crossed the line. Before I realize it, he rushes me, slamming us hard against the board in a tight embrace. A gasp escapes my lips as he dives in for a kiss. It's deep and passionate, and I keep staring into his closed eyes, not sure what's actually happening. His paw ventures freely across my body as he leans us over onto the bedding, not breaking the seal on our lips. I'm practically enveloped by his massive form, his soft fur brushing against my naked skin as we sink into the mattress. Snug in such an embrace. I surrender myself completely, realizing how much I wanted this. One paw cups my head while the other caresses my side, sending shivers across my entire body. Despite my complete surrender, he's not being forceful, reacting to my every twitch with his tongue. Time slows down and I simply let go of any inhibitions, relaxing my muscles and my lips, allowing him full reign over me. But eventually, our lips part and I look at him star-eyed as he breathes heavily, brushing my hair with each labored huff. What the fuck just happened? I can feel his chest press against mine and I again feel that familiar poking towards my groin. Rannoch? I mutter through a blush, causing the male to snap out of his stupor. He pulls away almost in a panic, clearing his throat. Sorry. I had too much to drink. So did I. I want to reach out to him, but he simply grabs a few blankets from the bed and heads towards the doors. I think it's best if we return to our prior sleeping arrangements. What? But... Without a word, he simply rushes towards the doors and leaves, shutting them behind him. I'm left there completely confused. Did I somehow make a mistake? For a moment, I consider going after him, but my head still spins with the haze of the wine fed to me by Tano. Motherfucker messes with me even when he's not around. That white piece of shit is dangerous. I slam my fist against the bedding, realizing this was the worst possible time for us to unload this shit show. He said he's not like me, and yet, the kiss felt completely genuine. Fuck. I just slump into the bed, screaming silently into the pillow. I'm so helplessly confused. This is a never-ending nightmare. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Save. Well, this episode went on for 2 hours and 28 minutes according to my recording on OBS. I will probably have to split it into 2 pieces. So that was the feast. And you got to meet Tano, the little shit. And you got to meet the bunny Tryst, who is also a little shit. And I don't know if you've gauged by now, but I don't like rabbits. Like, in real life, I hate rabbits. I don't trust them. And yeah, and it's clear that Rannoch is, you know, he has a thing for the human, but he doesn't know how to properly express it. And he's, trying to make you jealous and whatnot. And obviously that showed right now in the scene that they just had in the bedroom. And well, they kissed. So yeah. But anyways, if you would like to talk about what happened in the feast, then by all means, there's the little comment section. And thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Far Beyond the World yourself, there will be a link down in the description. If you would like to support the creator, there will be a link down in the description for their Patreon. If you would like to follow the creator on Twitter, there will be a link down for their Twitter. And actually, I might even put a link for the person who made the music for the feast, and that has been actually making some of the music for Far Beyond the World, and that has been making music for the Echo Project games too. And his name is Moe, although his, I guess, official artist name is Anthemikes. I'm not sure. You could probably actually, yeah, I'll put a link down for their Bandcamp. So you can actually buy the music from Kamiya and some of the tracks from what's it called? From the Smoke Room, and then eventually next week when Ad Astra in Terra releases, which I already recorded and is going to come out on Friday, you can also buy the music that he will be making for that, Ad Astra episode. And then as he starts making more music for those games or for those stories, he will be putting them up on the Bandcamp. And if you own the album that music comes up on, you automatically get it. You won't have to pay for, extra. But yeah, I guess I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.